Many of us started with very little, yet here we are today. Not because life was easy, but because God has been faithful to the Burmese people. That is why this conference is called Our Stories, Our Faith, because our stories point us to God's faithfulness. Our faith has sustained us through refugee camps, through immigration, through language barriers, through culture shock, through hardship. And our faith continues to shape who we are today. Good morning, everyone. My name is Naw Eh Phaw. I am a member of Fulham Baptist Church of Indiana, where we are meeting here. And I'm also a member of the steering committee for OSOF conference. On behalf of the planning committee, we welcome you to Our Stories, Our Faith here in Indianapolis. Whether you traveled from another country, another state, or simply across town, we're so grateful that you are here. Also, for our virtual participants, we welcome you and hope that you will visit us here in Indianapolis one day, and you will be here with us at FBCI. We hope that during these next 2 days, you will reconnect with old friends, make new ones, learn from one another, and most importantly, celebrate what God has done among the people of Burma. It is truly a joy to welcome you to Indianapolis. Today, more than 30,000 Burmese people call Indianapolis home. In fact, many people affectionately call our city Chindianapolis because it is home to one of the largest Burmese community outside of Burma. That nickname always makes me smile. It reminds me of a funny story. A very good friend of mine lives in Washington, D.C. area. After living in America for more than 10 years, for a decade, her family decided to take their very, very first vacation. So her husband told her, hey, pick somewhere nice where we can relax, explore, and enjoy spending time together as family. So she thought about it, she searched, she looked, and finally she made her decision. And guess what? She picked Indianapolis. When she told me that, I laughed. Out of all the vacation destinations in America, Florida, Hawaii, California, New York, etc., right? Very nice places that she could choose. And her husband said, we have no budget. You can choose anywhere. But she did choose Indianapolis. But then I realized for many Burmese families, Indianapolis isn't just another city. It's where relatives live. It's where church friends live. It's where people speak your language. It's where your children have friends. It's where you can worship in your own language. That matters a lot to the Burmese people. It's where you feel at home. So maybe Indianapolis is really a great vacation destination after all. People often ask, why Indianapolis? There are many reasons. Some families were resettled here. Others followed relatives. Many found jobs. Many found churches. And over the years, Indianapolis became a gathering place for Chin, Karen, Kachin, Kearney, and many other Burmese ethnic communities from Burma. Today, there are more than 70 Burmese churches throughout our city. Yes, more than 70 Burmese churches. That's a lot, right? Think about that. 70 churches, what do? Every weekend, there are Bible studies, or even throughout the week. Children ministries, youth meetings, women's fellowship, men's conferences, marriage seminars, parenting workshops, Bible camps, vacation Bible schools, leadership training, mission conferences, and the phrases can go on. And these are being held at these 70 churches here in Indianapolis every week, every month, every year among the Burmese community. Almost every church is doing something to invest in the next generation. That is something we should thank God for. If you lived in Indianapolis for very long, you have probably noticed something very unique, where you will see Burmese grocery store almost every block in the city, and Burmese restaurants. I still remember when we first moved to Indianapolis in 2005. Back then, we couldn't get jasmine rice or royal rice at Walmart or Kroger. So if we wanted jasmine rice that we eat 3 times or sometimes 4 times a day, we have to drive about 50 minutes to the west side of town to get those bag of rice. And I remember I would drive 5 or 6 family members in my Toyota Camry, maybe like 2001 Toyota Camry, very old. And I had a flat tire one day because we put like 10 bags of rice in my one small car. Today, you can just buy jasmine rice almost every corner in Indianapolis, especially on Southport Road. And if you're hungry for Burmese food, you probably have plenty of choices today in Indianapolis. In fact, you'll get to enjoy some delicious Burmese food throughout today, tonight, tomorrow. That's actually something Burmese people are really good at, open up Burmese restaurants and, have Burmese food. But as wonderful as these things are, they remind us of something much deeper. Our community did not become what it is now overnight. It has been built through sacrifice, through perseverance, through faith. I was reminded of that this past spring. In May, I attended a high school graduation in Perry Township, which serves a very high percentage of Burmese population. As I watched those students walk across the stage of the graduation, I spent nearly the entire ceremony almost in my chair, having goosebumps and thanking the Lord for how good He is. Some of you may wonder why, because I remember something. When we first moved to Indiana again in 2005, my son started kindergarten. One day he came home and said, "Mom, there are no Burmese kids in my entire school. I kept looking and I don't find any Burmese kids." But a couple of years later, he came home very exciting, getting off from the bus and said, Mom, guess what? There's a Burmese boy in my school. And he got so excited. Just one. That was very excited for him. That was back in 2005, 21 years ago. Fast forward to this spring. As I looked through the graduation program, I saw pages and pages of Burmese names, Chin names, Karen names. Many of those students received not just regular graduate students, but they received academic awards, scholarships, leadership recognition. I couldn't stop thanking God that entire hours of ceremony. What touched me even more was hearing teachers from Perry Township, many teachers pronounce Burmese Chin names beautifully. Back in those days, when we go to ceremonies, graduation ceremonies, their names are spelled, they couldn't pronounce some of the Burmese names. But today, with no hesitation, no embarrassment, no strange accents, the teachers had said boy instead of Bawi. They said tongue instead of ten. So the teachers have learned, and that just made my heart so happy, and I thank God for that. The teachers have learned our names. Now, that may seem like a small thing, but to me, it was a reminder that God has been faithfully opening doors for our community. Our stories remind us how far God has brought us. When my husband and I first moved again here in 2005, there were no smartphones back then. That makes me feel old. No Google Maps, no GPS, and we are in the cornfield in the middle of Indianapolis. When we looked, we had to look for jobs. The FBCI church was only about 25 people. And we printed directions, many pages of MapQuest. We drove around 465 highway. And if you don't know, it's like it goes around and around. We drive around several times. We got lost a lot. We stopped at a gas station asking for people where we are. So they have to tell us, so you have to get this way to get back to the south side of Indianapolis. Eventually, I found my first job. And guess what? I made $6.50 an hour making pizza dough. It wasn't a pretty job, but I thank God for that. And with that job, I worked really hard and I saved every dollar I made back then. And not only I saved that money, I kept those so that I could send them back to Burma to support my family, my churches, and my community back home. I know many of you have similar stories. Some of you worked night shifts, some cleaned offices, some worked in factories, some worked multiple jobs. Many of us started with very little, yet here we are today. Not because life was easy, but because God has been faithful to the Burmese people. That is why this conference is called Our Stories, Our Faith, because our stories point us to God's faithfulness. Our faith has sustained us through refugee camps, through immigration, through language barriers, through culture shock, through hardship. And our faith continues to shape who we are today. Sometimes we forget something very important. The Burmese people first actually heard the gospel because of the faithful missionaries who came to Burma hundreds of years ago. One of those missionaries was Adoniram Judson, sent by the American Baptist Mission. God used him to bring the gospel to our people, and generations later, many of us are followers of Jesus because someone crossed an ocean. Back then, there was no airplane. Crossed the ocean to tell our ancestors about Jesus Christ, our Lord, the gospel. Today, God has brought us across another ocean. I don't believe that happened by accident. I believe God has a purpose. Perhaps he has brought the Burmese people to America, not only to receive blessings, but also to become a blessing. Perhaps the Lord is calling the Burmese people to share the gospel with our American neighbors, to serve our communities, our larger communities, to plant churches, to love our cities, and to point, most importantly, people to Jesus. One school superintendent, actually the Perry Township superintendent, had a meeting with the community leaders one day. I was there, and he made this comment that it stayed in my heart, and it is here in my heart today. He said, many Burmese students who are actively involved in church often stand out because they are humble, they are eager to learn, respectful, and they love coming to school. So them going to church also made them loving going to school. When I heard that, I didn't think, oh, how wonderful our children are. But I thought, how faithful God has been. As we begin this conference together, I hope we remember that every family in this room and in the people who join us virtually has a story. Some stories are joyful, some are painful, some are still being written, but every story points to the same faithful God. I would like to leave you with the words of the scripture, Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 9. Know, therefore, that the Lord your God is God, the faithful God who keeps covenant and steadfast love with those who love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, What a fitting reminder. The God who was faithful in Burma many years ago was faithful in the refugee camps, if we remember. He was faithful when we first arrived in America, maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago. And he will remain faithful to the next generation and many, many more generations to come. May our stories always point people to him. Thank you and welcome to our Stories of Faith. May God richly bless our time together here. Thank you.